why does B Souls, Damo, and slash or Sage shut down slash not participate as much? And I'll just keep it straight. Do you feel like, as the host of the pod, as a guy who's, in charge of the production staff a lot of the times, behind the scenes, let's keep it a stack. A lot of that is me and you. Do you feel as if you have cultivated an environment that has produced those results through invalidation, through gaslighting, through bullying?
What's the environment in question?
An environment where people feel as if they're consistently invalidated through their thoughts, through their ideas, and things of that nature.
I don't want to invalidate anybody in this point.
But
I genuinely I genuinely want to ask you, when we have conversations about production stuff or which way to go with the direction of the pod or whatever, do you feel like you're not heard? Do you? I'm talking about you.
Me specifically?
Yeah.
I'm pretty heard.
Then the answer is no. I don't know.
That's an air ball.
I think that's because if it was truly that, it would be around the board. But and it's because we got our hands in the dirt. You understand what I'm saying? That's me and you. We got our hands in the dirt, B Souls. We're getting off the line. Ball snap. Right?
Okay.
We in the trenches. We going back and forth with ideas. We talk ball. Even today, when we get on the phone and you talk about which buckets that this shorts editor is supposed to cover and that
okay, because this is a recent conversation we've had. I genuinely feel as if you have changed your ways in terms of your leadership style over this last month. But this is stuff that has been going on for years, months now. We've been doing this for 4 to 5 years. And I feel like the things, how we behave has been a product of a lot of things that have been going on for years now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would disagree. I would still disagree because we can look back in the past and I would ask you from a production side because we got our hands in the dirt. It's me and you. Ball snap, we off the ball. Balls in the air, we jumping. You know what I'm saying? Steal goes, we fast breaking. Do you feel like throughout the entirety of us doing this pod, when it comes to especially that back end stuff, do you feel as if you have been invalidated?
Again, compared to Damo and Sage, not as much because me and you specifically do call a decent amount of the shots. But even within our discussions, you do invalidate a lot of the ideas I bring up.
Hey, and so what I would say in that conversation,
and mind you, this is not just a back end. This is also an on screen thing. Like literally, like when someone poses an opposing take. Like I think there's a difference between disagreeing and just flat out invalidating, you know what I'm saying? What there's, I think that's dumb that you think that way. Like that's just a stupid take. You don't do that a lot?
Oh, I do. But this take might be stupid.
Okay, then. So there you go. There you go.
But to me, I don't think that's invalidation.
Oh, word. You're invalidating the invalidating.
I don't. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
Word.
Because if you say something, if we having a conversation about the best milk in the game, you say Margot, I say Sabrina. I know you thinking in your head, are you crazy? Are you crazy?
No. Because I see the viewpoint of someone defending Margot Robbie. That's why I see where you're coming from. You know what's crazy? This is just crazy to me because we talk a lot on the pod about delivery matters. There's a way to communicate things so that, crash outs don't happen, specifically with Stephen A. But for some reason, when it comes to our content, we don't practice what we preach.
No, I don't. But honestly, for real, especially now that you have the context and all that stuff. In hindsight, if I'm saying that this is the way that, because I just disagree, and I might say something like that. That's crazy, bro. I wouldn't even believe that. Like that, I disagree with that. I hate that. I hate that take. Now, with that being said, that's not me invalidating. I would think that you would think that that's not invalidating. Even with the progression that you say that I've made, I still talk that same way. But if you can acknowledge the progress, you would have to acknowledge that back then that wasn't invalidating. You would have to. It just makes sense.
Okay, Omar. Okay, you never invalidated anything, man. That's just we should know that you're trolling.
But see, what I'm saying is these full stamp, and it's not. I'm not trolling. If you like vanilla and I like chocolate, vanilla's fucking disgusting. That shit is nasty. I'm not invalidating your opinion on vanilla. You gonna like vanilla.
But if Bezos is,
but this is what I'm saying. We're clicking on like we're sticking on one-off situations, but I'm telling you, this is like an overarching sentiment through various different interactions that we have that motherfuckers feel consistently invalidated by you.
Let me say this because I'm not. I want to address Damo and Bezos and Damo and Sage in a second, but I want to for me and you specifically, especially because we have a lot of conversation. We disagree a lot, and we talk. We just talk it through. We talk it through all the time. We talk it through. You are pro Instagram. I'm pro TikTok. You're pro TikTok now. I'm pro Instagram. We just talk it out. In that conversation, I might say something like, "Yeah, that's stupid. Why would TikTok? Well, why do you feel that way?" Now, if the it's stupid is what makes you feel like it's invalidated, that's it. I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is
that's the thing.
What I'm saying is, in the totality, I don't feel like that's validating.
Oh
you asked how can
so this is what I'm talking about, Omar. There are a way to go about conversations where even if you disagree, even vehemently, you don't gotta call a motherfucker stupid for believing what they believe in.
I didn't say you were stupid. The take is stupid.
Oh my. Okay.
But even if it's not
Chat.
the take, hold on.
This right here is the problem. Go ahead, Domo. Go ahead.
The example of, oh, if you like vanilla, I like chocolate. I think you stupid for liking vanilla. That's not the problem. The issue is if Souls comes and says, I think we should talk about vanilla on the pod, and you say, nah, that's fucking stupid. We should just talk about chocolate. That's invalidating somebody. That could come off as invalidating someone trying to bring something to the pod.
But so, and then I've had the conversation.
When you're not on the pod, we literally call it tune-in exams for a reason. Like that.
It's a bit.
Oh my.
No,
it is not. It is not.
It's not a bit for us.
But see, like our reaction right now literally is telling you that we feel fucking invalidated a lot. Damo, I don't want to speak for you. Do you feel like Omar invalidates you a lot?
Nigga, there was a portion of time where I was not putting shit in topics because it's like, why would I? Why would I put shit in topics? Because it just feels like no one gives a fuck about what I want to talk about. And Sage even addressed that. Niggas don't talk about it. In the big Sage Omar fucking debacle we had way back when it's I've never heard Sage that animated in a meeting before. He brought that up. Like, yo, I've watched Damo try to bring topics and niggas shut it down and I don't fuck with it. I was like, yeah, Sage, let them know. Yeah.
I want to, but this is the reason why I'm trying to address Bezos separately and then combine it. We can combine it now. Is that in the conversations that me and Bezos have, I will talk like that. You take it as invalidating. I acknowledge it. Not saying that I'm going to change. I promise you, I cannot promise that. Because I might think a take is outrageous. I might think, yo, why? But what I applaud that you do is explain the why. We have a conversation about it. It's fully thought out. It's brought to the forefront. You can change my mind. I can change your mind. We can come to some middle ground. We'll come to a solution. But that only works because we communicate. We collaborate. Combine. The difference between what we do and versus what the collective does is that when it is time to collaborate, I really feel like we do a terrible job at collaborating, having meetings of the minds, bringing everything towards the table. Sage made that point, Damo. And when he had that, I still maintained it back then, and I maintain it today. That's crazy because when we get into the time where it is to put everything together on a list and a table, he's not there.
Listen. I agree. I like I said, we have bad habits as a group. This is not all on you. Y'all know how I am when it comes to accountability. It's never 100%. A lot of this is a two-way street. So I agree with you on that front.
So in that same conversation, and it's just like with the Zeus thing. If you say, let's talk about X or let's go in this direction of Y, I know it happens oftentimes when I do it, and I even hate the fact that it happens when I do it. But in y'all's household, y'all would not let this happen. Y'all don't let this happen. I'm certain by it. If y'all's woman came to y'all and said, "Hey, babe, I want to paint the walls green," you're not just sitting there letting it happen. Maybe because it might be some one-off shit. But in reality, you're gonna say, "Why?" If I pose, yo, our focus should be on Snapchat. If I say that tomorrow, y'all not finna let this happen.
Wait, go back to the paint conversation. So how you saying the why?
How am I saying the why?
Yeah. Is it a why?
If I'm talking to my fiance,
Yeah.
man, that shit is still what the fuck? Green? Hell nah.
You don't feel like that's invalidating?
Hell nah. Cause I talk like that.
Okay.
You keep asking me, somebody who is lifelong, you keep asking me how I feel. You can tell me that it is invalidating to you. That's a whole different conversation. But you're asking me how I, who talks like that, if I feel that way.
No, clearly you don't feel as if you're invalidating people. I am just telling you that the results of you moving the way that you do, a part of that is how we respond to that behavior. That means us not being, as open contributors to conversations, to topics, is because whether you feel like you're doing it on purpose or not, we feel consistently invalidated by the way that you move.
And there's two things about that. One, I can even acknowledge that they feel that way, that people feel that way. You have not done that, B-Souls. If I say TikTok is stupid Monday, we're going to have a conversation about it through Monday. Tuesday, we'll probably have a conversation about it. Wednesday, we'll make a decision. You have remained steadfast in the collaborative efforts, right? Even with the conversation with Damo's getting much better. We're talking about it, all that stuff. What I don't like, what I get genuinely upset about is that topic thing, that whole, we don't talk about topics, da 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 da. And
At that time, I was at that time. Yeah, okay, I'm about to say now it's different, but at that time,
we then proceeded. This was a strategic move. It might have not been with everybody's input on the conversation, but this was a strategic move. Fuck it, we're gonna create a space for everybody to bring a topic to the table, and it still wasn't met. So at that point, I understand somebody saying it, but you're gonna talk about it. I don't know if it's here or we passed it already, but the conversation about invalidating the topics in that moment or whatever the case may be, I even disagree with that. There are times when that happened, but to paint it as a broad picture, as if we're talking about the topics now, that if somebody brings something up and it gets invalidated, I don't even think that was your intention, but that's not true. The times when, I'm calling it out like it is. Sage will say, nah, that's too nerdy, and then come with a vanilla Naruto take, as if we can't contribute to a Naruto take.
Again, I don't fully disagree with what you're saying, but even with the way that you're talking right now, you don't feel as if like someone listening to this would be like, damn, you're invalidating even us feeling invalidated. It's on some, bro, like y'all shouldn't in the first place.
No. Let me ask this. Fuck that. Flip the roles. If you, Omar, were constantly in a situation where you are talking to somebody and 10 times out of 10 you've pitched an idea, they met you with, the fuck? That's dumb. Whether you were ready to bring the facts or not, but that's how they constantly talked about the ideas you had or what you feel like doing. Would you not feel like they're trying to invalidate what you think?
No, I would keep going. I've lived my life.
There we go.
You asked me that because I've lived my life like that, though. So again, in these situations that I'm talking about, and there's a reason why I'm separating B-Souls and all that. B-Souls can say something. I won't say anything. When you talk about, okay, Af here, Steve here, Painter here, yeah, okay. Now I might say, oh, well, do you think so and so might be better here? No, I feel like so and so will be better here. It's not like all the conversations are with that, but again, that's because it's come through 5 years or however many years of constant communication, us knowing each other. Like you said, we've been doing a dance for 5 years. So no, I would not. I don't care about whatever on the outside perspective. They haven't been through it with us for 5 years. So now knowing in this time, this is how I talk. This is the way that I say things, but this is my true intention. Hey, I just want to know why you really feel this way. Because if you came on the next day saying, hey, I want to talk about, I don't know, the tariff conversation with Trump, I'm going to, what? That's not our audience. Why? And I might be that animated about it. What the hell? Why? Why would we do that? I expect you, just like you should expect from me, just like we should expect from Damo, just like we should expect from Sage, just like we should expect from Cruz, to say, this is why I feel as if we should talk about the tariff conversation because of this.
But if I explain why, and there's a sentiment of like, okay, I can explain why, but it just feels like it's gonna fall on deaf ears. Like what Damo pulled off with the Zoo shit. Man, fuck it. Just change it to the other shit.
What do you didn't say anything. You didn't ask a question. Is there a question?
No, I'm saying so like in your scenario, okay, let's just put the tariff example. All right, I explained why we should talk about it. But again, there's a sentiment in the group of like, okay, I'm gonna explain why, but then even if I give my explanation, you're not gonna take it serious anyways because you feel as if it's the ass topic. Then again, at that point, it creates this environment of just like, let's just.
And I can understand that. I can tell you though that that's not how I feel. The only thing from there is, what do you do? Because in that conversation, like we said earlier, I don't know if you were here when that shit happened. The Zeus shit happened. I left. Y'all said, okay, let's change it back. Fuck it. I don't care about arguing for Adam. I came back to the pod when it was time to pod, and I said, "What the hell? I thought we was doing Adam." Y'all said we just changed it. I would have been ready to go for Zeus. It's very seldom that I'm like not ready to go for anything or don't want to do anything or don't want to perform. Like it's very, very rare that I don't want to do X, Y, and Z element OP.
But I think that goes back to what Damo even said earlier of like, okay, you might not say it the meeting after, but you're gonna bring it up at a random point and like pull a trap card, pull a I told you so.
Never happened. That's never happened.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Okay.
But I'm serious. I'm being so serious when I say that. When I say this, when we're talking about having a serious conversation, if it's, again, we made the separation yesterday about pod versus serious conversation. When it comes to topic matters, we've talked about a lot of things. Damo brought it up, and I'm really surprised that he brought it up in this because, again, I watched this. He said the whole thing about the Marvel rivals and B-Souls and Omar go silent, or Omar go silent. I'll put it on me specifically. Omar goes silent, or whatever the case may be. Dog, I don't play video games. I don't know about Marvel rivals. I don't give a fuck about Marvel rivals. It's been explained to me. Plus, I can see how good Marvel rivals content can and will do for us. I'm not gonna hold up the conversation. I am gonna try to find spots where I can attribute to it, though. I am. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna continue to do my due diligence, continue to do my work, or whatever the case may be, and find spots where people can contribute to it. I even have people sending me DMs because I want to be knowledgeable on the conversation and subject matter. Shouts out to Miri. I'm gonna just go ahead and share it. It's not a big secret. It's not a big deal. I don't think so. I don't think she would have a problem with us, me showing the DMs or whatever the case may be. This new innocent full moon PV. This is another game thing. This is adjacent to us talking about the gooning conversation when it comes to Marvel Rivals. This is about to be a crazy clip. This is the trailer for a game, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying to continuously stay in the know, grow, and do whatever the case may be, right? I say all that to say, even if I don't participate, I don't want that to be perceived as me invalidating or not participating or not caring and then setting it up for a trap card later. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. I want it to be clear. Even if we had those notions before, it should be clear from today that that's not the case. I suggest topics that don't work. That don't work all the time. That's just not the case. This is all trial and error experimentation where we've opened the floodgates for guests. I don't know some of these guests that Damo suggested, you suggested. I don't think y'all know some of the guests that I suggested. It's about experimentation, though. It's not the time for I told you so.
Again, even the root of this, like me doing the Q&A, I genuinely think we are in a much better place as a pod, communication-wise, all of that. Like even on the pod, we are in a much better place than where we were a couple months ago. So let me be very, very clear to the chat. There's no real problem right now. There's no real problems right now.
We only do this when it's good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, again, we only do this when things are going good.
Do this when things are good.
But these sentiments were not the same sentiments. The results were not the same results. The people did not feel the same way they're feeling right now. 2024.
I'm telling you that had maintained in 2024, that had maintained the whole time, even through the basketball pivot, as Cruz acknowledged in this space. It's not like I went back and said, oh, I told you so, or this, that, and the third. I definitely didn't address it to nobody publicly. Definitely didn't do it in a meeting setting or whatever. I might have said it in a one-off conversation or something. There's stuff in which, and this is this is what I was alluding to with Damo earlier. There is I told you so stuff that you and I have talked about personally, but never in a meeting to invalidate, emasculate, or humiliate or embarrass anybody publicly. No. There may be some I told you so stuff that you and I have had conversations with. Hell, maybe even me and Cruz have had conversation about. And it's a playful I told you so. Oh, see, I told you that. I told you that clip would do what it would do. I told you that was gonna be the one. I told you when we do the popcorn read, Cruz is gonna come back and I told you that was the one. Me, yeah, I gotta give it to you. But I understand you saying that's not today. I'm saying it's not the past either. It's just a misinterpretation of the feelings. If you feel like that's even still me invalidating, perfectly fine.
That's just what it is, man.
Okay.
I know how you. I know how you move.
I just don't see how you can't see how you could come off as a validating people.
I don't see it either, Damo. Let me just make it clear.
For example, and I'm gonna bring this up. I've never talked about this. I may have mentioned it in a Discord once. I felt I was so mad when I had to fight for bringing Trey Sold on the pod. I don't know if you remember, but when I originally pitched Trey, Omar, you had me have to break down and explain why that would work for our community, why that would make sense. When I felt, what are we doing? This makes perfect sense. He's a good guest. The nigga's chill. He has a community. He has we had Chase on. Now it could have been. Were we even in the NBA era at that time? We were just basketball pod at that time when we brought him on.
I'm not sure.
I'm not even sure if that was that time, but genuinely, I had to fight I had to put a damn thesis statement. I probably used that wrong. I had to put a thesis statement together about why Trey Sold would be a great guest when we've never done that for guests before. There's never been a time when we try to bring guests on and someone had to explain why that would be a good guest. And I felt that to me, that came off as niggas is invalidating me trying to bring a guest on that I reached out personally. I set it up. And this was in a time where niggas was tasking me with doing more. So I'm like, bet, I got a good guest. I reached out. I set up the time, date. We had to reschedule. I did all that. And niggas is just, why would that be a good guest? What makes this, does this really work for us? That felt like invalidating. Seeing how we never done that for anybody else before. Like we've any other guests since then, we've never had to have a conversation about why it works. Why should we have? That's never been the case.
I'm scrolling. I'm trying to see when Trey was.
It was during the basketball era. I'm looking at it right now.
And I want to say my explanation was, he does play 2K.
He
is in the sports. Yeah, it was. He does play 2K. He is in the sports. And there is a crossover between the NBA audience and I guess the gaming audience. And he has enough motion to where it offsets it as a guest. But it still felt crazy to justify bringing somebody who was in a basketball niche onto the pod.
I also want to acknowledge, because I know off top, one, I did not know Trey not even for real. I did not know Trey before the pod. Two, as B-Souls might have acknowledged there, it was during the basketball era. Again, I know you might feel that way, and that's just from me going from what we have right here. There could have been more context as to why I probably asked that. Me asking why, with those two caveats, I don't think is that crazy.
And there's a disconnect right there.
I'm about to say that's what the disconnect is.
I'm gonna lie, like a lot of this stream is literally just proving what we've been talking about, right? I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. My thing is,
do we have any other guests in that time frame? Like, who are the other guests we had on at that time? Because if Trey was the only genuine non-basketball guest we had, I can give you some leeway there. It makes sense. But if you start showing me other niggas that game, other niggas that aren't necessarily in the basketball niche, and it was never brought up to question why we should have them on in that era, that would still go to prove my point.
My point is, my point in this is, because I hear what y'all are saying. I didn't validate that too. Y'all, if we're doing basketball stuff, we know, at least from my perspective, I feel like I know basketball creators. This is somebody that I don't know. You're saying let's bring them on. Now, if B-Souls, were you familiar with Trey before that episode?
Vaguely. Not really though.
Okay, Damo, you were. I know Sage was. If I don't know, what is wrong with me asking why?
It's
I
fine
think
to ask.
it's what Damo said of like, we don't really do that for anyone else when they bring up a guest. Like if I bring up a guest, it's just all right. When can he come on? When you bring on a guest, all right, I bet. When is he coming on? Like there's no who is this?
Is that not a bad thing?
But I can say on your behalf, if that in that era we only brought on guests that was in the NBA space, cool. Hindsight is 2020. I can understand that. Cool.
Where is this episode? Is it? Did we? It's a video, right? I'm assuming.
What?
What, Trey?
Yeah, I'm on live, and I'm like, I don't see this episode.
It wasn't when we were live streaming.
Okay.
I'll put it in chat.
No.
That's when we was doing it on playback, and then it would get cut up, and then yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
But that would be, again, I can understand that. That's fine. And hey, is it bad practices that we don't try to vet out who guests are? It can be.
Absolutely. That's how we end up in the Daquan situation. 100%.
But we've only had one Daquan situation, and that's unique because that is Daquan. I don't think we've had any guests on that elk before and since.
I understand that, but I'm saying that's how you end up in the
Daquan situation. I feel it.
That's how it happens. That's how you end up not being able to add or subtract to the conversation. And especially as somebody who is bringing the conversation to the platform, I would want to know why. Like, I want to know who he is. Can I have some sort of summary? Can I have some sort of breakdown? What's the connection?
I even broke down his channels because, again, you weren't familiar with him when I provided you his channels where you could look up and see the pull he had, the community he had, and what he does. Even then, after seeing it, you were still on some pushback shit. It wasn't like you seen it. It was like, I will say you seen it. It was like, okay, it makes more sense, but still, like, you seen the information in front of you of, okay, he does have a community. He does have a basketball background. He does talk about basketball. He has multiple channels. I would think then it made sense, but it was still pushback, which to me felt crazy because that's never the case in any other person bringing up a guest.
And I get that. You've acknowledged it. That's why I'm saying it's like I don't know what to even say, because if you're acknowledging as well, it is bad practice that we don't do that we don't give pushback, that we don't ask questions about guests that are brought on. What do we? I
would just find acknowledging that it still will seem a problem. Why the fuck is it time to practice good practice when it's me? That would be how I feel.
I'm not even going. I hear you. I would like to think that I try to practice good habits consistently across the board. It don't have to be just you, because like we just talked about with me and B Sills, I'm gonna ask him why, because I want to know his thought process. Same thing with Sage. Same thing with you. It's not unique to you. If it doesn't happen all the time, that's also not a bad thing inherently. Jesus Christ, I cannot find this through scrolling.
I can just link him.
No, he wants to see like the summary of like all the other pods too, if we had other guests and shit.
Episode 129, if that helps. 11 months ago.
Oh, okay. That helps. Yeah, so I think that's more of the conversation. And I swear. Oh, there it is. You should ask why. We should be asking why. And matter of fact, even in hold on. You said non-basketball, but I know we didn't have any non-basketball. But even going after the Trey episode, when we started bringing on people, because we had some people in that same era. If we're gonna do basketball, we're gonna do basketball right. We were pretty strategic about who we brought on. Let me say, I was pretty strategic about who I tried to bring to the conversation, invite to the conversation, or whatever the case may be. So when we got Imani on the podcast, when we got SROS on the podcast, I think we got Coach Nick in that same time frame in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It was very strategic, and it was very explained, and it was very timely as to why we were going to bring him on the podcast. I kind of laid it out why that was the case. I would like that to be the case for everyone. That means they have a vision in their mind. That means they have a perspective that they want to take on. That means they have an idea as to how the content goes. They basically have a whole episode built out. We also, I did this one by myself. We also had the interview with the Sportico. I think it's from Sportico. But the dude that was talking about the WNBA evaluations, I did that interview by myself, and it was members only content. The SR,
We also did the was the SR was that the draft dude?
the SROS
Yeah.
was not draft. Well, I think he did do some draft stuff, but Stephen Gillespie was me and you on Playback Damo when we talked about all the draft stuff. There's a reason why I asked you if you could do it, not anybody else. And we had a full conversation about the nigga that has 375 million people on his draft board. But I have a whole thing thought out in my head. That's the way that I would
Approach it.
I see somebody in the chat asking, and this I think this may go to the point. Ian says, "Did y'all question Uncle Spam on the podcast?"
No.
Not at all. I didn't even know who we were having on the pod until I showed up. Like when I showed up, Uncle Spam was already there. Like I didn't know, I knew nothing about him, but I guess that's a fault to me. I just have trust in people bringing on guests that it'll be good content. And I mean, I'm not really tripping on who we have, but bringing on people now is definitely different than when we brought on people then. We were mainly focused on basketball then. Now it's just what the convo is.
And to add to that, I even with those situations back then, I do feel like I can't do that specifically with guests because I have to steer the conversation. Now, if you want to steer the conversation, I have no problem with that. I truly have no problem with that. But as a whole, I think the reason why I'm attacking these one-off points, because of these one individual points, is because they are used to paint the bigger picture of invalidation. I think the big part is that I talk a certain way. And that's been a point of contention for the entirety of the podcast. Omar texts a certain way, Omar talks a certain way. And I don't know X, Y, and Z. I think the best person who handles that is B Souls. Full stop. And this is to this point about the guest situation, but just as an entirety, if B Souls has a problem, and I talked about this on the thing, we will have a conversation and it will be solved in a pretty fast pace. Even when B Souls, I can hear it in B Souls' voice. Even if B Souls doesn't want to talk to me in that moment, because I've called you and I've heard those one word short response answers, those one sentence answers, I can tell you annoyed. It'd be the day after a pod. And what's crazy is I can feel it now and how we're talking about this. And guess what? Me and you got to talk tomorrow about what we're doing with things. But we're going to have a conversation about it because that's what I feel like relationships are. I can't be pissed off at my girlfriend, fiance, or whatever, go to bed and wake up and go to bed and wake up and go to bed and wake up. 2 months later, bring it up. I can't do that. And I used to do that. I learned that I cannot do that. So especially in that situation and in any situation, if you feel like something pissed you off, say it, please. For the love of God, say it. We might come to the same conclusion. Better understanding. Same conclusion. We might come to the conclusion.
I just operate under the thought process of, yes, I slept on it. I let it go, whatever it was. I just operate under the mindset of, what are we having a conversation for if shit's not going to change? That's probably my biggest issue. Like, if I'm already operating under the mindset of you are stuck in how you feel, you know how you like the invalidation conversation. I'm not going to have a conversation about you about invalidating shit because you don't feel like you're invalidating. You just feel that's how you come off. And I know you're not going to change how you talk. You've been talking like this for 30 years. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to change. You're not going to change how you've been talking. So what is the need for the conversation? I feel like it'll be even crazier if I tell you I have a problem with something, you acknowledge that I have a problem with something and say, it is what it is. That's crazier to me. That's genuinely crazier.
So with that being,
I concur, Damo. I concur.
You can't concur. You can't concur because you just acknowledge, hey, the things that
invalidating your concur.
Yo, Damo, bro.
This nigga, he is the invalidator.
We got a nickname for you, buddy. No, you got it.
There's a reason why you can't concur. You just acknowledge that I have changed.
Yeah, for the better. That don't mean you changed all the way. The fuck? You got a +5 attribute boost. Congratulations, buddy. Okay.
You just acknowledged that I changed.
You got better. Yes, the same way. And Damo's gonna get pissed when I say this. The same way we said Damo's an overrated gamer, don't mean he's not good at the game. He's overrated.
Okay, but even if me being better if me being better means that I changed, if me changing means that I got better, how can we then also agree to the sentiment of, hey, there's no reason to talk to this guy?
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
You triggered my trap card.
And as he plays the "you triggered my trap card" shit, bro, this is.
I just
See,
don't.
yeah, you've gotten better. Good job. He's gotten better. God,
I don't get it.
he don't even get it, chat. He don't even get it. He don't get it. He don't. Where are we coming from? Right? Right?
Stop.
Damo, right?
Stop.
All right, bro.
Stop. And I know you might gotta. I want to finish this out. That's crazy, though.
I've made my case, ladies and gentlemen. We will move accordingly.
Terrible. It's a terrible case.
Yeah, here he goes.
Invalidating narrative?
Damo, he literally
He
cannot
can't help himself.
He literally cannot stop. He literally
He's
cannot
the
stop.
invalidator.
It is
The
DNA
nigga said- the
to
nigga said,
invalidate.
"Oh, you got better, gang. I ain't gonna lie." And you didn't even want to say it because you should have brought that to Damo. I'm not gonna lie. Omar does get better with communication. Omar doesn't. If we're talking about topics and talking points and production and vision, Omar doesn't invalidate. It sounds like he just wants to talk. I think you would agree with that. I really do think you would say Omar just wants to talk it out. Omar wants to work through it, see your perspective, voice his opinion, and then we keep it forward, pushing forward.
I agree. You do want to talk a lot of these things out, but again, I truly also believe this. Sometimes you just want to have the conversation to have the conversation, but it's not on some I want to change my mind about it. Like you just gonna have the conversation, but it's like it's at the very least, it's very, 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 very hard to change your mind. So at that point, it just feels like to Damo's point earlier, why even have the conversation if the conclusion is just gonna be agree to disagree?
I'm saying this, I'll say this. Because we've been in situations, you and I, where it's been easy to change my mind, it's been hard to change my mind. Right?
Yes.
With that being said, it sounds like there's a pathway for it to be easy to change my mind. Now, there is also a pathway with it being hard to change my mind. I'm not trying to put this on anybody. At that point, I would probably reflect on what I'm saying. Does my logic make sense? Hey, can I run this by you, et cetera, to somebody else? Or maybe it is just me in that moment. And maybe it's not going to make sense. But as we've maintained on this podcast, if I get outvoted, I get outvoted. Same shit with like the payout situation. Fuck it. If I get outvoted, I get outvoted. But yes, we're going to spend time talking about those things. The vision for the podcast. I'm not just going to let the vision of the podcast, in a one-off, hey, I think we should just go this direction. Okay. That don't make sense. Stuff like that don't make sense to me. And there's portions in time and people on the podcast that when an idea is brought up, niggas is just like, let's do it. Me, no, hold on. That don't make sense. Let's talk about that. Or it may make sense. Let's fully flesh it out though. Sometimes it's not even this don't make sense. I just want to flesh it out.
Okay.
I'm just
You got it, big bro.
I'm my
Listen. Again, I gotta go. Can't stay here for long. This is Friday night, chilling with Bree Soul's time. All right. Like I said, I've made my case. Leave it up to the jury. Clip this up too, Mark. Clip this up. This is good content. In my opinion, it's good content. Please clip it up. My suggestion.